Hello everyone, happy Friday. My name's Brian, or you might know me as Farron on the forums. That's interesting, my phone is going crazy. Alright, hope everybody's doing great this Friday. How you doing, Ernesto, Mornstein? What songs are playing? So these are some royalty-free songs that I got. Basically they're lo-fi songs. And you can see I just have a playlist going right here. So this one in particular is Moons of Lilat. Hey Adam, how you doing? So we've got some interesting stuff happening on this stream. Obsidian. Max, how you doing? I have a bunch of requests that I'll probably just go through, a few requests, and then I'll basically get to probably working on one of the themes. I'm thinking of working on porting my CoverBox theme. That's going to be a huge challenge, and I'll get to why when I get to that point. But there's a whole bunch of requests that I will get through. I did not, you'll notice that I did not stream yesterday, and that was because I had a huge splitting headache I just couldn't get rid of. So I decided, why not just wait one day and do it today. And Ernesto, today I'm doing great. We got so many cool stuff coming in the next release. I can't wait to post the next beta for everybody. It's going to be awesome. And there's going to be some stuff covering some new theming abilities for us. Oh, Mornstein, you're literally stapling packets all day. Oh, that sucks. I feel you. I've done that before. Yeah, feeling good. I mean, why don't we get to, like, what are the things that we're going to get? There's two main theme features that just sort of like everybody within the theme our community has sort of wanted built into LaunchBox, and the two things are basically the ability to trigger navigations based on a user's navigational input, which basically means, and you can see on the screen here because Dave has been working tirelessly trying to get this thing going, but you can see here, and if you haven't watched Dave's videos, he's over on he has his own YouTube channel, and he releases videos every few weeks or so, and they're really great to watch. But you can see here that depending on, I mean, what this example here is trying to show you is that depending on the direction that the user's pressing, so like let's say they're pressing left or right, we can then trigger different animations or trigger other things because of that, in response to that, which we couldn't really do before. Navigation's always worked on a per title basis, so it was reading the title name of the game that the person was on, and if that changed, that would trigger animation. So we couldn't tell, like, or did they go up or did they go down? I don't know. Now we're going to be able to tell that. And the second thing that we're looking to get in, although not sure if it's going to make it in, we'll see, is the ability to trigger animations based on going in or out of the game details view, which is the text game details view. So essentially that would allow us to play around with that view, and when people are in game details, we could mess up the view and make it look all cool, and then when they come out of the game details view, then we can reverse whatever we did. So animations, some more flexibility to the animations. That's what we're getting. We already have really customizable animations. We have stuff crazy stuff that we can do within Big Box, but this just takes it to another level. And I can't wait for all the theme creators to be able to get their hands on that and see what they can do. So let's take a look. So yeah, so let's jump right into it. I've got some requests. Let's go to the first one here. And I'm not doing this in any particular order. Looks like we've got 4 different requests. Pascal Kosh posted saying that how do you change the time of the platform wheel hiding? So and then Pascal, you went on to clarify that you basically downloaded the Future State Neon Deluxe theme and you were trying to change the time that the wheel fades out. So without looking at the Future State Neon Deluxe, I used it a long time ago, and I think I just downloaded a copy. I think I downloaded the right theme, and it's an older theme, so it's not built within the community theme creator. So I will have to go and dive into the code to show you exactly what you have to do. But if everything was coded right, it's basically an animation, right? It's animation trigger, like I was just talking about, and the animation is essentially saying fade out the wheel or do something to the wheel after a specific amount of time. And then it's like a storyboard, if you've ever seen a storyboard. I mean, it's literally called storyboard in XAML. And so let's do that. Let's dive into the code just for you. Here's the future state theme. Let's open it up. And I like to open it up in Visual Studio, but you don't have to. I just have the free version of Visual Studio, which I think is just called Visual Studio Community or something like that. And the reason why is because it's a lot more flexible. You can just open it up in a text, I don't know, Notepad++. And Killer Instinct there, do you still support Android? We had to drop Android support a while ago. There is a thread on that, yeah, on the forums with a little explanation as to why. And yeah, unfortunately, do not support it anymore. Okay, so we can open up this project window, and then on the side here, we can see all the views. Ooh, the bug just flew on my face. Okay, let's take a look. Let's choose one as an example. So I haven't used this theme in a while. So why don't we actually take a look at the theme so I can kind of understand what you are thinking of here. Okay, so let's switch it out. I hope I put it in the right folder. Future state. I assume this is not the theme, actually, now that I think about it. Maybe Pascal was thinking of the Neon Deluxe theme and not the Future State theme, but both would basically do the same thing. Oh, that's interesting. This theme might be oh, Ernesto, I should really release that. There are versions of it on our forums that you can take a look at. Okay, so does this fade away? No. Wait. Let's go to view platform view. That's probably better. It's not fading away. Okay, is this one fade away? Not quite. How about this one? Okay, I think we got the wrong theme. I think, Pascal, yeah, a little mixed up the name. So when you say Neon Deluxe, I'm guessing now that you mean instead or maybe I just messed it up. Maybe the Neon Deluxe arcade theme? That's probably more of what you were thinking of? And that theme completely, I believe that theme is created with the Community Theme Creator, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah. But I don't think that it was released. I don't think that the project files were released. So we will still have to dive into the code for that. Well, let's take a look. I might actually already have that theme. I do. Let me just use this one. Okay, so let's take a look at the code here. The code's going to look a little different. So you can see that with the Community Theme Creator, it only drags the XAML files that it needs to function, and then anything else is marked as an X, and it just uses the fallback default theme, which is why if you ever try to do theme development, don't edit the default theme because it gets overwritten every time you open up Big Box. Okay, so let's take a look. We're looking for wheel. Now, the Community Theme Creator, unfortunately, does things a little differently than traditional XAML to accomplish what Dave wanted to accomplish in a clever way. So we're really, I don't want this to be a tutorial of how to build your themes in XAML. But let's take a look at the wheel. So it's been marked as wheel. Oh, that's good. Is this the theme? You're here. Is it the Neon Deluxe theme that you were referring to? And before I get too far behind from you guys, Morenstein said, do you think you'll ever add any functionality to theming that will allow BannerBox to call upon existing assets and compile them into the banner? Morenstein, some good news that I've already did that, and it's all on the forums. So the forum build is, which is BannerBox 2.0. You can go get it now, test it out, and let me know if you have any issues. But yeah, the BannerBox 2.0 will use your existing assets. You do need to be on LaunchBox 11.10 or above for it to work, though. That's right. But remember, so, a lot of people asked for this, but remember that in order to accomplish a banner that has multiple images, so you're basically saying instead of one image per wheel selected item, you now have like 4 images per wheel that needs to load. So if you think about that, there's a few trade-offs that you'll definitely want to dive in and see if you like the trade-offs. But yeah, let me know. Let me know how it feels for you. It's been out for a while, so I'm thinking of replacing the version on the theme manager as and make it, upgrade it to the newest. So when people download it, it'll just use their regular theme, their regular images. Okay. Let's see if I can figure this out. Okay, so right here, this is how it works. Yeah, take your 30,000 games or whatever, and then times that by, I'm pretty sure it's 4. Trying to think if there's more. No, I think it's just 4. So times that by 4, and that's how many images need to load while it's scrolling through. So yeah, there's benefits with the one image per type, which is why that version still exists on the forums if people want to download it and create their own banners. Okay, so this actually might be easier, Pascal, than initially thought. So you can see here with Dave, the way that he likes to do things is that he groups everything together. So tries to make things a little more modular. So here you can see wheel has begun. Then there's a grid with the wheel. And you can see here, and the reason why I like Visual Studio is because it's marking all the different points, as well as it likes to fill in things. So you can see here when I press space, it tells me all the different options that or properties I'm allowed to put onto this grid. I don't have to guess. And that's how you can become more efficient or more lazy. You don't have to type everything out. Future State Neon Deluxe. Where did you get that theme? All right, I'll show you how storyboards work so you can go figure it out. And if you do have a specific theme, you know what? I'm going to load this one just so that you can see if I'm right. Is it the arcade one? Pretty sure this is the theme. Let's find out. And the reason you probably think it's called Future State Neon Deluxe, maybe it was called that for a time, is because Mr. Retrolust, the amazing Mr. Retrolust, who just finished his bezel pack, arcade bezel pack, that he's been spending years on the forums, he took Future State, this theme, and then he created his own theme and added the words Neon Deluxe to the end, and then removed the theme, remove the Future State from the beginning of the name, I guess. Okay, let's take a look. Let's go down to Neon. Deluxe. And you can let me know if this is the one. That was weird. I think I messed with my settings. Okay, here we go. So is this the one? That's interesting. Oh, you think I at some point I was messing with this theme. Yeah, don't mind the actual look of the theme, but it was this was this the theme? That's hilarious. I don't remember what I was doing. I don't know why the wheels look like that. Okay, there we go. Something like this, and there's a number of views. And you see how the wheel fades away pretty quickly, and you're wanting to increase that. What other views does this theme have? Let me just put this over here. Yes, it's this one. Okay, cool. So I will show you. You're basically going to open up the view that you like, because each one would be different. So in this case, we've got a bunch of views. I'm just going to use this first one as an example. All of them will be the same. So I opened it up and I searched for wheel, and it dropped me down to here. We don't actually need that part. And so right here, this is the wheel from here to here. And you can see that the wheel is actually named wheel. They give it a name. And so down here, underneath the wheel, are all of the storyboards. And so the way that it happens is that it's basically saying there's 3 different storyboards for this one, anyway. If I'm reading this right. Yeah, 3 different storyboards. This one is basically saying event trigger when the framework element is loaded. So that's just saying when the view loads, do this. So it's saying when the view loads, make sure that the wheel, target name wheel, is set to 1 for its opacity. So that's not what we want. This one here is saying when, so navigation started counter. So this is when somebody first moves the wheel, it comes back into focus. So that's what, this is what's controlling that. So it's saying when somebody starts moving the wheel, make the opacity go to 1. So go to 1 is 100% in this case, to and take 0.25 seconds to come back. That's what this one's saying. So then to me, that means that this is the one that we want. So this is saying when active game, which is triggered, this one's triggered when the game name, or when you finally settle on a game and you stop the wheel, then this will update. So it's like when this target has been updated. So after the wheel has stopped, then make the wheel's opacity set to 0. And he's also set that to 0.25 seconds. But he starts it at 1 point or 0.25 seconds. So there's a, when do you want it to start to fade in, and how long do you want it to take to fade in? So to me, all you really have to do here is change this to, you said 5 seconds. So maybe you can do like 4.5 seconds and have it, no, let's do 5 seconds. And then keep that at 0.25 seconds. So say it takes 2.25 seconds to go away. So, and if you don't know what this is, I believe this is seconds, minutes, and hours. And that's basically it. So you you basically have to take that value, the begin time value, and tell it when do you want it to begin to fade in, or to fade out in this case. Setting it to 0. And then you're done. So hopefully that answers your question. If you want, I can send you the particular file that you want, and you just have to come and tell me which views that you want changed, or you can go ahead, dive into it, search for wheel, and you should be okay to change that value. All right, second request. Let's take a look. So somebody, Mute64, you asked me, how would I go about using platform fan art instead of game fan art for the platform backgrounds? So this is actually not a theming one per se. This is just the way that Big Box works. So I'll just show people, show everybody if you don't know this. So the default theme can show platform specific backgrounds within the platform views, but Big Box doesn't come with any. So if you wanted to go and just download your own, you can. And then within images, platforms, or platform categories or playlists, depending on which one it is, you can come here and you can go into, let's say, Atari Jaguar, and then you can place fan art right here. And that basically should be it. You place it here, and then it will show it within the default theme. And that's and for any theme developers, you just have to use like a fan art background in the platform view, and this is the first place that it will look to find an image. And if it doesn't find one, it might fall back to like a game background. And Matthew, do you find that LaunchBox database has better quality scans than EMU movies? It depends, right? My view has always been that EMU movies, like, they've had a longer time to blossom, but I guess they specialize more in when it works, they specialize in like standardized sets of something. So mostly they would have something that looks all the same for like a pack of something for a platform that should look the same. But the LaunchBox database has mostly better, higher quality scans. So I find that a lot of people use the LaunchBox database first, download what they can, and then they'll use the EMU Movies one to they'll go back and see if the EMU Movies can fill in anything else for them. All right, so that takes care of the second one. Yeah, if anybody has any more questions, you know, that's what we're here for. Let's do the next question. Only two more. And this is from you, Obsidian, if you're still around. The badge system. So does badges work in Big Box? Is essentially what your question is. And the answer is yes, they do. I think that it's going to require a little bit of a fix, but let me show you what I mean by yes, they do. And I'll show you the piece of code that you can look for. Now, I must say it's not within the theme creator yet, because it actually came in the 11.10 update, I believe, when we got the new wall views. And it's a new control called flow badge, I believe. Actually, let's confirm that. So I'm just going to dive into the default theme, and anybody with LaunchBox has this theme, or with Big Box has this theme. So I'm going to go to one of the wall views. I think it's wall view 3. And it's right here. So there's the code that determines the, it's the flow badge. What's great about this piece of code is that CBeats designed it so that it can work anywhere in any view. Now, there might have to be some fixes for that, but mostly I tested it and it works. And but if you wanted to take this outside of, let's say, this cover flow, like it's inside of this the flow control, which is the wheel, or the wall view wheel in this view, then you would take it out. So let's say I wanted to use it in wheel game 1 right here, right? And then I would just paste it here. So we're not really in a canvas here, so you don't need that. You can set whatever height and width that you want. See how there's this badge name? So you can have multiple copies of this, change the badge name, position each one in the way that you want. So it's flexible like that. And this, of course, for people that don't know, is part of our badge system. And your badges are also customizable, and they're available in the LaunchBox Images Badges folder. Any of these images, and they're purposefully available here for you to change and create your own. You just replace the ones here. There's also a plugin that you can download that allows you to add custom badges. I haven't used it, but I'm assuming that you can basically make whatever badge that you want, associate it to custom stuff that you would want, basically. Anyway, so yeah, replace any of these icons with whatever that you want, and just make sure that it's named the same. So, and then of course, any of these icons or any of these names would just be transferable into this badge name, and then it will work. So I could potentially create another one and then change the badge name to, I don't know, Epic Games. And that would work. Now there's one more step that you'd have to do because it's outside of the flow control. It doesn't actually know what it's associating this to. So it's one more piece of code that you will have to type. Now let me see if I can remember that code. Of course now, okay, here we go. So you'd have to type data context binding, and let's go with active game. So at this point, it reads the active game and it tries to find out whether the badge, there's a favorite flag for the badge, and then it'll display it. So that is one way to do it right there. Okay, let's go to the next question. And I hope that answers your question, Obsidian. All right, next. There is one thing that I kind of wanted to bring up for all theme developers that the community theme creator will do for you. That's actually very handy. And that's, so let's say you're creating a theme, but you want to make sure that it works for every single system, or that you want to make sure that you're using big box or LaunchBox standards with naming. Like, what did we call, a specific platform? You're trying to create a platform specific banner, and you need to give it a name or a specific logo. Well, there's a way to do that within the community theme creator. If you click here, go to utilities, and you build a fake ROM list. This will do two things for you. The first thing, or it does one thing, and then it's useful for two different things. It creates this folder right here within the community theme creators directory. And inside of it, you'll see it builds the folder structure of every single system that we have within our database, named in the way that we have it named in the database. And what this will do is it gives you the best chance that if somebody loaded their library into LaunchBox using our defaults, that it will match up, like your theme will match up with their library. What we can't do, so this is the best standard for you to go through if you're trying to create a logo pack or like a particular background pack, like Unify does or Unity does. Basically, you should use these names, and it's really easy to get some of them wrong, especially, look how many there are. The second thing it does is that it actually creates a text file, empty text file, for every single game within our database. So if you go in there and there's these text files, and they're named exactly the way that they're named in the editor, or sorry, in the database. And so you can actually use these to create a dummy version of LaunchBox. So you can come here, and when you're open LaunchBox, so let's, I wonder if I have LaunchBox open already. And you're wanting to add games to your library. So you created like a brand new fresh LaunchBox. You can just go here, import these text files. All right, I can come here. So let's say I want to import Rom Files. So let's do the folder. And I wanted to import, all of the Atari, let's say Ballyastricade ROMs. And I would sit there, and you can go through the list. You don't have to download anything, any of the media. And you'll see here that, oh, didn't find any of them. Of course, I didn't do this right. Let's go to files. Let's import them all. Ballyastricade. Make sure. This is also a place that you can go to find out the names of everything, but this is kind of annoying to look through. That better? There you go. So, and that way, there's all of the games that we have in our database for this this system, and then you'll be able to sort of have this dummy version of LaunchBox to test your themes out, to make sure that your themes are going to work with the majority of people. That's sort of how I had to do things like Bannerbox and other themes like that. In main, is there a script to close Wii U games? with an Xbox One controller? Well, you don't really need a script for that, although there is one that you can get that would be able to close. We have an AHK script forum thread that has a general close script that will work for basically everything. And so if you go into manage emulators, I don't know if I used it. It's basically this. Now, for what you're saying, you don't even need that. You could probably get away with, and the same settings are also inside a big box. Why not just use the exit game functionality here? Map it to your controller. You can have multiple buttons that you can press, and then just use that button combination and it will send like a termination signal to the emulator and close it. And that's probably how I would handle it. But yeah, you can also get scripts if you want. And with that, if nobody else has any other questions, I'm going to get started. Oh, I should probably show this off just for fun. I'm pretty sure I have that theme. I feel like you could just add one back if you want, but... And sorry, I'm answering you, Matt. I don't know, you could probably add a new one, or you can probably go in, and I'll have to test this after this for you. But you should be able to right-click the All Games playlist, which should exist still in the categories, and tell it to appear in your playlists category if you'd like. Okay, so test navigation bindings. Let's go into one of these. So you can see here, basically what Dave has created was 4 different ways that you can trigger different things. And you can see from the left there, visibility conditioning. It's basically, it's not an animation, it's just a condition of saying, hey, if a person clicks left, make, I believe he used an ellipse, but like make an object appear. If the person presses left, make this object appear. So he's created 4 objects, and you can see that, and he's put them over on the left, right, up, and down. And it's just a test to make sure that it's working. Now the middle one is actually an animation, and it's saying trigger an animation on that object to fade in or out its opacity. And so you can see that it takes a little while for it to fade in. He put like a 0.5 second animation, it looks like. And then the third one there is a movement animation. So I guess there's one, instead of having 4 different images, there's just one image in the middle. And he's saying if you go left, if a user presses left, move that object just by like 50 pixels or something. And you can see it sort of moving like that. And then the last thing is a metadata image. It's basically saying you can have 4 different images and it will pull up the image that it needs to. So a left image, a right image, an up image, and a down image. And you can see that that controller is just showing the image based off of movement. And so these are just examples on different ways that you can use the new navigation triggers. They don't have to be mapped to a controller, but I think this is the easiest way to show it off. And so last thing I should probably show is that with the metadata image, you can have a per platform theme or style images, which means per platform, you can change that image to something. So if you had controllers for, let's say, the Sega Genesis or the Mega Drive, you can replace that metadata image of the controller to a Sega Genesis controller, which would be kind of cool. And I do have some images, and I thought I loaded them, but I didn't. No problem, Obsidian. All right, so that's it for the questions. If anybody has any questions still, let me know. And for you, Matt, yeah, if you haven't figured it out yet, there's two different things that LaunchBox provides to help you organize. Yeah, Matt, yeah, the control animations are amazing looking. I can't wait to dive into that sort of thing for you guys. I've got some themes in mind. I'm just going to have to wait and find out whether... Okay. So let's say you're wanting to take, let's say, all of your games and put it into your playlist. I'm assuming I don't have that right now. So two ways that I can think of that you can do this. Okay, one way that I can think of that you can do this. You would go into your playlist and you would just add a new playlist. Call it whatever you want. You can place your videos, your notes. When we auto-populate this playlist. Let's take a look. What's the easiest way to auto-populate this playlist? Actually, let's take a look here. Interesting. And you can see here that this will allow you to place this playlist basically anywhere that you want. Which is kind of cool. Games, I think by default actually here, it's just listing all of my games. That's interesting. I guess I don't have to put any filters onto this. I guess I just press enter. You can see here you can also include this playlist in the platforms if you wanted an all games place within just your platforms filter. There you go. Done. So all games and all, you can see that they're the same number. They should just work. Hopefully that helps. That you have to make sure you're, of course, in platform categories for this to work. But this is a fairly robust system that you can use if you're wanting to really have custom builds and really position things the way that you want. But yeah, you can create lots of playlists. See here, like I just did a Mario collection, but all I really did was tell it to auto-populate titles that contain Mario, which obviously is not the best thing to do because there are other games that are not Super Mario Bros. That contains the word Mario in it, but that's just an idea of what you can do. And then you can add more filters and it will auto-populate it based on any of your games that you have. It'll just look through these filters and just auto-populate games into it. Right, Matthew? Yeah. The amount of customization is insane. If you're a power user, you will love how you can customize LaunchBox and Big Box, and we just have more coming for you guys, really. Okay, to CoverBox. What is CoverBox? CoverBox is one of my first themes that I've ever created, so it's a little long in the tooth, but it still works. But I'm not able to provide you guys with any kind of project files for you to play around with. And so I thought maybe I'll slowly start converting it. Now, what's the problem with CoverBox? CoverBox is essentially 40 themes in one. And this is why it's going to take a while for me to do. Because I'll bring it up here. CoverBox in general, basically the idea of this theme was me saying, hey, why don't I create a theme where each platform looks like the game's, like the platform's cover, box cover. What would that look like? And so in probably the end of 2017, I was sitting there thinking, hey, why don't I find out? So I made this. And I said, oh, that works. Only to realize that at the time, we didn't have the ability to have multiple views of this screen. So if you applied this theme to your computer, to your big box, every single platform would look like the Super Nintendo. And some things that people don't know is that you can actually replace this image with a European style box. But you'd have to go into the folders and do that. I think I provide one. And just replace this one. But so, and I can't remember how much longer it came, but we got the ability to change. And this is the same right now that you can do. You can change Big Box so that it uses multiple different themes per platform. So if you were wanting to use a theme or for your Super Nintendo that's different than the theme you use for your Nintendo's platform, you can do that. So what I did was I created many themes. I was like getting 10 themes and then 20 themes, and each one was technically a different theme. And so, and then at one point, Jason got clever and said, hey, well, I figured out how you can not just have one theme have different views, different looking views for technically the same view. And so what he did for us was with the folder structure, and let's just look at what the CoverBox looks like right now. Inside of views, you see all of the views that are and hey, Sean, the great gamer. Guess hopefully that name lives up to your reputation there. Hopefully you're doing good today on this Friday. Dr. Suicide. CoverBox is your go-to game list theme. And that your only complaint is that your monitor is 4K and the filter image over the video doesn't scale up properly. So you're saying it doesn't position properly, or that since it's a 1080p resolution image that it's sort of blurry, which I'm assuming that it probably could be. Although I've used it on my 4K TV and I didn't have any complaints. That's awesome. So you do live up to your reputation. That's pretty awesome. You're a famous champion gamer and a world record holder. Should we know you based on the name Sean? Because hey, even if you weren't, I wouldn't know the difference. I'm gonna take you for your word, because that's pretty awesome. You want a Guinness World Record. Okay, so for which game? You gotta tell me which game. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't scale properly. And yeah, and this is really problems with traditional XAML. And something else that will get solved if I port this over to the community theme creator. So I mean, let's take a look. So what was I saying? So basically, you could see one file per view. That's just how it works. And we only have one file to tell it for a text list game view. It's right here, text games view. I mean, there's another one here that looks like it could work, text game view, but that's actually just a piece of the text games view. So that's just deceiving. But what Jason basically said is, hey, if you create a folder and we'll call the folder text games view. So here, text games view. And you go in there and then you create the XAML files in there and give it the name of your platforms. And this is where the whole fake ROM list comes in, and you need to have the platform names exactly. Then we'll be able to have, like, it will load the correct XAML file for your particular game. And you can see here, I literally have 43 different views that I'm going to have to recreate in the community theme creator from scratch. Oh my God, bust a move. That was one of my favorite games when I was growing up. It was inside of our local pizza place that I went to for lunch. It was a big bust a move arcade. I used to play that all the time. That's awesome that you got so good. You like living the dream. You got so good at it that you could actually do it and win tournaments for it. That's pretty awesome. Anyway, so this all started with one dream of building one theme with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And at the time, I was fairly new at building themes. I built maybe one or two. And this was just an idea. And of course, you can see here that it transformed into, and I don't know if all these images are probably a little long in the tooth, but you can see that I covered basically all the Nintendo systems, all the Sega systems at the time anyway. And each one taught me a little bit more of how to use XAML. So your appearances in the Guinness World Record Gamers Edition is 2013, 2016, and 2017. You got your name on the high score page. Sean Vinson, that's awesome. And you got to meet Walter Day and Billy Mitchell. That's really cool that you got to do all that because of how good you are at a particular game. Imagine when we were kids playing these games. We would never have thought that playing games could convert to something like that, John. So good for you. And thanks to Black Box. These basically represents years and years of theme work. See, all the way to like these late ones, which is I think one of the last ones was like this PSP one. I guess I must have redid the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. This looks like Neo Geo CD. And this is when I added a platform view using these awesome recreations of the actual system boxes. even got a Pokemon mini one in there. Famicom. Okay, so I basically have to recreate them. So I can't obviously recreate them in one stream. So I'm just gonna pick a few and do them today. And Colin, is there any thought to redo older themes for big box that are no longer working? For sure. I'd love to do that. And if you have any in mind, I will write them down. So yeah, let me know and I will send you, and I will mark them down for a future stream. If you do have one in particular, let me know that one and I can get it made and on the forums for you. And Sean, as from now on, you just better keep it up as you're still continuing for your video game journey and your next video game adventure. Does that mean you already have more games lined up that you want to get really good at? All right, so what am I going to do? So when I started this theme, I had started with the Super Nintendo and then I sort of jumped into the Nintendo. So those are the systems that I basically grew up with and closest to my heart. And that's what I'll do. I'll recreate these two, and then if we have time, I'll do a third one. And I'll do that in the community theme creator. And hopefully we'll find that these themes don't really, the community theme creator is powerful enough that it will allow us to do this pretty nicely. Let's find out. I'll have to base it off of this screen. I'm pretty sure if I'm looking. So if I'm looking to convert this theme, to me, what I see is a background, a video playing behind it. I think I made I cropped it out so it's just transparent there. You've got the logo here, the list here. And this is actually a bunch of elements. So this is probably the publisher or developer. Developer's fine. And then this is just the word presents. I put that next to each other, and then this is the title of the game, and this is the play mode. Actually, this is the play mode, and this is just the word action. Star rating, release year. Those are all the elements as far as I can see. So let's do that. One thing to note, if you are a person that has created, that have used CoverBox in the past, it's been a while since I've updated it. I don't know what this view is, but definitely not going to use that. Let's delete that out. So let's go to the one view that we can actually utilize, which is the text games view. And what I actually did was I started playing around with a bunch of new CoverBox themes. So maybe I'll show those off that I have not released. So I did create a Nintendo Switch theme that I have not released. Looks like this. Which I think will be pretty cool. I've created Neo Geo Pocket and Neo Geo Pocket Color. And they look like this. So this is using the same standard. And this was all thanks to someone on the forums. I'm so sorry, I don't remember. It's been a while. Felix or Flanks, maybe? And we were working together and you had a bunch of ideas and I said, sure, shoot. And he helped design some of these. And so they all should work. So what else did we do? We did a Windows one, which looks kind of cool. I don't have that many videos for these. Maybe a Batman one. Yeah. And then we did Wonder Swan. And I'm pretty sure I've got to do the Wonder Swan color. So this one actually turned out really cool, this area here. What else did we do? 3DO? We did 3DO? Actually, I did more than I remembered. It's like we did 5 and I haven't released them. And I really love the way this looks. This looks so 90s. And the last one looks like we did was the Vectrix. Although there's actually still more that I could do if I find time. I really, really love how big this looks. And if you go to one that has a video, the video has the overlay and I made it look like the overlays in there. That's really cool. Well, that's pretty cool, Sean. Good for you. I would have loved the Vectrix if I had one growing up. Seems like my kind of system. All right, so what are we going to do? We are going to do the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, actually, they're not really working. I think I tried to do them. Okay, Super Nintendo, let's start there. What game should we be looking at this whole time? Uniracers. How about that one? Don't we all love that game? Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is bring in the background. So I have it created already. I'll make it full screen, and then I will go and find it in this folder, I believe. SNES view, there you go. Look at that. Almost done, right? Right? It is a awesome racing game that just did not catch on back in the day. Okay, so I'm going to call this background image, and then we're going to bring in the video because that's the next piece that really would make sense. So selected item video, we're going to place it behind the background image. We're also going to keep the aspect ratio. We don't have to really play around with that. Actually, I'm going to put this on top of the background image so I can play around with it on the canvas. Let's open it up, see what we got. Something like that. Okay, let's place it behind now. I'm going to use the keyboard to really fine tune. Of course, that's taking a long time. So let's use. Okay. You can see it's not quite. Let's do this. Make it bigger here. There we go. Cool. Actually, it's so close. It actually makes more sense to just do this. Just make sure that it's covering the space. There you go. Okay, so far so good. Let's see what else we got. We got the clear logo, so let's bring in the clear logo. And we're going to say, we're going to use the user's metadata. And we're going to go to game clear logo. And there you go. Let's center that up horizontally and vertically. And we'll bring it down to about here, which is how traditional Super Nintendo boxes kind of look. Looks pretty good. We'll have to test it on different sizes. I might want to put a little bit of an effect on this, maybe a drop shadow. Let's just set this very lightly. There you go. A solid 40% there. And since we're on the clear logo, I know that I had an animation. So what I basically did was when a user changed the game, it would animate and kind of bounce in. And so let's recreate that with this editor. At the time I was dealing with numbers and I got it down pretty good, but I think we can do better. I'll try two different things. The first thing is I'll say once selected, make it, well, doing the scale. So from 0 to 100%, the duration's got to be pretty quick, maybe 0.3. And I wouldn't mind trying the bounce ease. I wonder what the back ease is. No, let's do bounce ease. Creates a bouncing effect, but I only wanted one bounce, and that was it. Bounciness. How about 1? I'm gonna ease in. Let's find out whether that actually works or not. So I also need to paste that and do the same thing for scale height, which of course, we'll do this again. 0.3, ease in 1. Did I do 1? Yeah, let's find out whether that actually works. It does not do what I want it to do. That was actually kind of funny. Let's see, Alt A is the animation trigger here. Let me enable it. It's like flipping. Interesting. Okay. So that was a test. I've never used bounce ease before. Oh, I gotta fix that. Okay, so let's try. I mean, it wasn't doing anything what I wanted. So let's remove that and see if it's actually doing what I want before I add the eases. Yeah, there it goes. Other than that, it's doing it twice. It's probably an error here in the editor. I think it's pretty sound though. Okay, so let's just do what we needed to do. I mean, if that doesn't work, I mean, let's try just one. Actually, maybe that's not what I need at all. Well, let's do this. Kind of know that I want it to ease in. And so at 0.3 seconds, so we want this to go to like 105. So I want it to be larger than it should be, and then bounce back. Whatever its current width, go back to 100 and do that in a really short amount of time. Let's see what happens with 0.2. And then we'll ease out. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. If I did that correctly, it'll hopefully give me the effect that I want. That slight. It might be too slight. I think it's slighter than what I had in the original. So I guess I could always bring this up to 110. See what happens. That's better. Enable animations. Okay, I'm good with that. Okay, with the clear logo done, we can move on to the next piece. Let's do something that's fairly easy. So the release date, we're going to have it as the year. And let me just copy some colors here. There it is. Okay. So this theme used a font called Go Bold. Use this color. And let's just size it nicely. Maybe 30. All right. Ooh, almost 50 I need. Okay. Let's just center it up. Just, how's that look? It's about where it was before. Okay. Release date done. Let's move on to the first text block. And the first text block is going to be okay, so there are some things that I haven't actually showed you guys. What we're going to want is we're going to want the text to be able to not get go past the specific max width. I'll show you what that means when I get to that point. So right here, I need to create these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements, but I want them to sort of be together. And when I did this, I probably created them separately. but I'm going to make it so they're all what we call, I guess, parenting within inside each other. So let's think of the best way to do that. So the first thing I'll probably do is create a stack. And I'm going to position that stack where we need it to go, about here. And I'm going to go to about here. I'm just going to check. Okay. I think we're okay. So far the stack is literally a width and a height. That we'll see if that makes any difference. But I'm going to put my first text inside of it. We're going to call it developer. Actually, I need a doc now. And this doc will have auto size of whatever's inside of it. So far, so good. No, I haven't colored any of this stuff yet. It should also be go bold. Not sure on size yet. Let's put something inside of this. We're putting the game developer. Let's see where our positioning looks. Auto size. There we go. Okay. So of course auto sizing will just make the element fill the space based on whatever the metadata is, in this case DMA design. That looks pretty good. Let me just double check. This might need to be a tiny bit bigger. Let's put it up to 30. I'm just going to keep upping this stuff, aren't I? Okay. Let's go with that. 40. So now I can make a copy and paste that. And we're going to put a nice margin of let's go with an even 10. And this is actually just going to say presents. So a constant value of just the word presents. There we go. So far, so good. Now, I probably want to say do some visibility conditioning, so I might as well do it while we go. And I'll basically say presents. Actually, no, I actually want it to be there no matter what. So let's instead create a fallback. So a fallback value is basically saying if there's no game developer in a user's library for a particular game, what should it say instead? So let's say it will always say presents. So we can basically put anything. So I can put LaunchBox, or I can do big box. Let's do big box presents. And then it'll just display that word. Okay, so we're done that. Let's create a new, actually, let's paste this. We're going to call this game title. We're going to put it outside of the doc, but in the stack. So it should appear under it. Perfect. Get rid of that margin. And yeah, we're gonna make this one actually do something that I haven't done in a while. So let's figure this out together. View boxes are a great tool. And in this case, what I want it to do is I want the view box to only get so to only allow my text to get so large. And this goes to a particular debate. So the debate is this: if the game title gets too big, what would you want it to do? So in this case, Super Mario World is perfect. It fits in here perfectly. But you can see that if you had a longer title name, it wouldn't quite fit nicely. So there's some things as a theme developer that you can do, and you have to make a decision, basically. Lots of options. Which one would you like? There's no real wrong answers. So one answer is that you can use this thing called trimming. So if I either trim per character or per word, if I do it per word, then it would probably ignore the next word and just put dots here. And then it'll keep the same size. If I did per character, maybe it adds one more letter and then puts 3 dots, indicating that the title's longer than would actually fit. So that's what trimming does. Wrapping, you can leave enough space for it to consume two levels, two spaces. So instead of Super Mario World, you could have this, you could make the text smaller if you want, leave a giant space above it. So if the title gets too long, it'll just wrap around and it'll fill up Super Mario World, you know, whatever the rest of the title is. That's another way. Some themes do that. And of course, in order to do that, you have to leave blank space to fill that potential area. So that's one option, and that for that you would just go to wrap with overflow. If I do nothing, it would just try to consume as much of the space as possible and then just get cut off right here where that line is. That's another way that you can go about it. And then there's another way called viewbox. And the viewbox, what it'll do is it'll get to the largest portion of the space and then say, oh, well, your title's too long. Let me shrink the title so that it fits your space. So if your title gets too long, the text size gets smaller. And that's sort of what I've been doing in the past. And that's what I'll do here and see if I can get this to work. Now, for the longest time, the community theme creator didn't have viewbox functionality. So I have to kind of remember how it works, because it's a little different. Actually, okay. So I feel like I have with the game title saying on any size. I mean, let's find out. Let's go to game title. So far, you can see it doesn't really work. this point just trying to get something to appear. Unless I'm using the wrong... Yeah, I think I'm using the wrong... There we go. Okay, so... So I don't think I need these. Let's experiment. Let's see what happens if I take this game title and make it giant. I kind of want a limit to its size. Let's say... Actually, I don't need that. Okay, so far so good. Ooh, too much. Thinking 115. Okay. Maybe it's good. I'm thinking 110. Alright. Definitely want it larger than that. Okay, let's do that. We can always come back. And I want to make sure that the view box is functioning. So I feel like I have to set a maximum width for the view box. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set it to this. Let's find out. Let's find a large title. So it's definitely not working. So this is what would happen if you did nothing. Hey, John. Hopefully you're doing good today. You just joined, but you have used it since the beginning. So are you saying that you just joined, you've used LaunchBox since the beginning, or the community theme creator since the beginning? Whoa, okay. That makes more sense. Didn't take that I put the view box inside. Yeah, it really doesn't like that view box. Let's see if I can at least get it inside the stack. Although thinking about it, I probably have to do something different to make that work. So I will, well, at least it's in the stack. Huh, there you go. So it does work. I just wasn't, it's just a little bug there. So you can see here the Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse got smaller when I put it into the view box. And let me just save that out, see if that saves. So this is one way that you can accomplish this. The text will get bigger up until, I see I'm going to have to put a limit on the view box height, or else it'll just keep getting bigger to fill the whole space. So let's put, oh, you just joined the chat. All right. I'm guessing, John, that you use big box. Let's see what we can do here. 150, that's pretty good. Wait, what am I doing here? That's wrong. Okay. I think that should be okay now. Now, at the same time, one thing that I noticed, and let's see if I can show. That's awesome. I always wondered, and this is for a question for you, John, or anybody else listening. I assume that you have your favorite themes. Do you use one theme? Do you use a combination of themes? So you can have a combination of themes in Big Box. Do you use the same platform for it's the same view for every platform, or do you have it so you customize a view per platform? So you might use like an arcade view, game view, vertical wheel number 3 for one theme for arcade, and then you can use a completely different theme for the Nintendo Entertainment System using a completely different view. And how custom do people get? Because you can get that custom. You can go crazy if you want. And Lex, you use the same theme for everything. I mean, that's a really good idea if you want something very unified, I assume. All right, does this stay in the middle? That's all I'm caring about. It does not. Oh. Okay. Oh, John, you just started messing with that. You've got a world of fun. There you go. So Dr. Suicide, you use CoverBox for every platform that it supports, and then you fill in the rest with coin ops. And then you change your platform theme pretty often. So you got a different theme for your platform and different themes for your games, which is pretty cool. I remember, I just didn't set a minimum height. There you go. Okay, so now that we have a height and the width, and now that I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, why don't I just set this to 150? Why do I even need a minimum and maximum? Oops. 0, 0. Okay, so you can see here, and I had this problem, I remember back when I was creating the Super Nintendo, the original CoverBox, that this dot got in the way. And my solution to that, and I don't know if I can do this, What's weird is that this seems to indicate that it's doing it, but it's not. Okay, I think this doesn't actually exist in a viewbox, these properties. So my solution to this was to make it so the game title had a background that would scale to the game title, to the game title's width. And I don't think I can do this natively here. So what I'm going to have to do is create a grid. Let's do it like this. Oh, right. Only one element inside of a view box, so I need the game title inside the grid, and then the grid inside the view box. There you go. And the grid would just be auto-sized everything. And the game title, there you go. And now the grid can get a background that's completely black. And voila, that dot has disappeared. But it comes back if I'm using a game that is short enough. There. So it'll only get covered when the name gets too long, and that was my solution at the time. So at least functionality-wise, it's doing the same thing as the original theme. Nice. So CoinOps has things like the Apple II. That's awesome. Yeah, I used to have an Apple II when I was a kid, and we had all these discs inside of. I don't remember where we got them. I was so young. I don't remember where we got the discs. It was from a school, because my mom used to work in a library in a school, and so they gave us their old Apple II. Came with all these discs, and I remember sorting through the discs as a kid and putting them into the drive, trying to see what was on them, only to realize that there was different games if you flipped the disc over. You could actually insert the disc one way and have like one game on it, and then you can flip the disc over and then insert it, and there was another game on it. That was pretty cool. And Thomas, your question is that you use LaunchBox to mainly play old DOS games, and that's commendable, but you cannot figure out how to add an add-on disc. Maybe you can elaborate on add-on discs and how you, because there's many ways that you can play DOS games in LaunchBox. I can think of like 3 or 4 right now. So I'm assuming, do you use any one of the 2 DOSBox installers? Do you get it from another source? Do you know how it was loaded into LaunchBox, basically? And then when you mean add-on, an add-on disk, do you mean like installing an expansion or something? Was that a thing? I don't even remember if that was a thing. And it was your first PC, Dr. Suicide. You remember getting Ghostbusters. The only Ghostbusters I remember at the time, and I don't know if it was the same game, because I don't remember getting Ghostbusters for the Apple II, but I did get to play the Ghostbusters on the Commodore 64, which my friend had, and I would often go to his house. And we would often play that game for whatever reason, because it was Ghostbusters. All right, last few pieces here. I've got to add a last doc. So I'm going to copy it and paste it under the view box. So wouldn't it make sense, and I correct me if I'm wrong, Thomas, the way that you're explaining it. And I don't know, like, if it does it install? So if it installs, wouldn't you, I don't know, to me, and you might be able to do this in LaunchBox. I don't actually know. Like, you would go into DOSBox or some other utility, and then you would take the expansion disk and you would manually install the files so that it works within the game itself. So that in LaunchBox, whenever you launch it, it would launch with the expansion every time. Like, you don't have to do anything in LaunchBox as a launcher to sideload some expansion. I could be wrong. Wouldn't it be something like that? Like, you would just, outside of LaunchBox, you would just make sure that the expansion's installed in the same folder. I don't know. I don't think I've ever been in that situation. But that would be my first thoughts. You know, get the game all loaded up with all the expansions that you want. And then load the game in LaunchBox. That's interesting. Baseball Legends and Stadiums. I guess they must have had lots of updates to update the stats and stuff. Players. All right. So what are we doing with this bottom one? We are saying something similar. This bottom one's going to say action. And this top one historically said you could always launch DOSBox, the one that comes with LaunchBox. I believe it's just in the third-party folder. And you just open up DOSBox there, and maybe it can do the same thing. Just load it. Make sure you got everything loaded and installed that way. Alternatively, you could just right-click any game that uses DOSBox, and there should be an option that says Launch DOSBox. And that'll allow you to just play with the emulator, make sure you got everything loaded properly the way that you want. And then really, LaunchBox just needs the pointer to the game file, to like the exe or however you have it loaded, and then should be good to go. Also, alternatively, you might be able to find a version of the game with all the expansions and content included already. Okay, this one's going to be play mode. There you go. So now it says single player action. It's got the name of the game, and now it's all in a much nicer format than it was initially. All right, last thing we got to do. We're going to create those community star ratings. And then if you guys should 100% be participating in rating your own games. As long as, I'm pretty sure you just have to sign in LaunchBox. In LaunchBox here, you just have to sign in. Make sure you sign in here. You're connected to the LaunchBox games database, I think. And then just take a game and say Dr. Mario. And just rate it. I'm going to rate Dr. Mario a 4. I loved that game when I was a kid. And then your vote gets counted to make up this whole community star rating. And that's the number we're going to pull right here. Although it's going to be a combination number. So it's going to use the community star rating, and if there isn't one that's sufficient, voted enough, it will instead fall back to... Ooh, let's do this first. %, John. You have the ability to impact the game rating within LaunchBox for any game that you add that's within our database. And if a game's not in your database, you can always go and just add it. Just make 100% certain that it's not in there. Okay, so here's community or user rating, so it uses the community rating. And if there isn't one, it will use your fallback user rating. Or it might be the other way. I'm pretty sure it's that way. So the way that this works is that it takes the number of the community rating, like 4.1, and then it looks for a file inside of a particular directory. So in my case, it's one of these star rating ones, default. So it's looking for, it looks like a 2.9-ish rating, and it brings up my 2.9.png file that's within this star rating default folder. And that's how this works. I basically have a picture for every single... That's like 50 pictures. And you guys are free to use this. If you go into CoverBox, I made a whole bunch of these star ratings. And you can use any one that you want. These days, I guess I didn't need to make so many because something that's really cool, because I needed to make so many before because I wanted to color it. But now there's this whole effect. Sorry, there's this whole grayscale. So I could grayscale it. Oh yeah, that doesn't look great, does it? I could add a color to it. So in my case, I mean, let's look at what the red one would look like that I made. And then you would have to add an opacity mask of the current image. And there you go. Now you have a red community star rating images with just one set of images. You can change the color to anything that you want. So I might do it that way and then reduce the amount of images that I have in the theme. Right, then you can just control the color here. Like make it less saturated. That works pretty good. All right, but for now, of course, we don't need that. Let's center this up and do our little positioning that we need to do. Just correlate it with the image that I've created. So it's probably a little smaller, not by much, and I'll just help position it there in the center. It's pretty good. Okay, last piece of the puzzle, this wheel. Okay, it's always the hardest one, but I think this one shouldn't be that hard. Let me bring this back up. So you can see that it's covering this big area. It's going to have, the selected item is going to be this color red, but everything else is just going to remain white. And then using the same font. So that's pretty simple, actually, I believe. Let's say we're covering a good amount of space. So probably this amount of space. looks like I don't go past this point. Let's do as much theming as we can here. So it's already white. We'll change down to go bold. Nice. Okay. Now we'll just make it a good size. Probably need it a bit smaller, 37. Ooh. Okay. Perfect. So I made sure that's an odd number so that this item right here, it looks like, will be the center, and the list will remain on the center item. Now the only thing I have to do is make sure that this back is that red color that we want, and that color is basically the same color as the logo. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to dive into the style source to create a custom one. So I have created let's see which ones that we can use here. That might be easy to change. Okay. This one, although it's got a different margin, and it's making it appear. Yeah, that's odd. Okay, so we'll just adjust the margins. So let's browse this one, and I'm just going to copy everything in there, and we're going to create our own. And we're going to call it, what have I been calling them? Nes Ui. Okay, so we've got something to start with, and we'll have to go into the code here. So let's see what we don't want. Don't need to change the color of the text because it's going to stay white, but I do need to change the color of the background, and I want it to be this color. Let's see. I'm probably going to put some padding around it. And let's see what it looks like now. Don't necessarily need it. But let's try. Let's just add a little bit of a padding here. We'll just go slight, and then we'll see what happens. Okay. Not bad. And personally, I would just adjust this until I get the amount of games that I want on the screen. Okay. Hey, Rob. Hope you're having a good Friday. We are just here having some fun, recreating CoverBox, one theme at a time. All right, perfect. So it's got the back, and now I'm realizing that I don't actually have it white, but some sort of off-white so that it doesn't pierce everybody's eyes. So let me do that. There we go. That's actually too much for me. Wow, that wasn't even that much either. Let's go back to white. Okay, that's better for me. Okay, let's end there. I feel like we got every single element that I had in the previous one, except for one now. And I don't know, I wouldn't mind your guys' opinions on this. So there's something to be said about a clean type of UI. And I didn't necessarily see the benefit of the scroller. So a lot of people wanted to see the description of the game that they're on. And the only way to get it to work in this type of theme is to create this sort of horizontal scroller look. And I had put it underneath, let's say, the wheel. Actually, I put it underneath the background. Probably about here. And people seem to like it. Some people like it, some people don't. What do you guys think? Do you like seeing the description? Even if it's fit in a place like this? Whoops. Game notes. And I'm going to have to change this vertical to horizontal. And that brings up the scrolling features here. Basically, I want it to start right away. And I want the scrolling speed to be something really ridiculously low. Now we're going to change the font. I almost feel like all of them were the same font. I could be wrong. Do I have a light version of that? And sort of see as I get it larger that I need the speed to be. There. Something like that. Is that helpful for people? Do you guys like that there's the sort of scroll of the description? I'm on the fence and almost thinking right now, why don't I just use the font that I've been using? Meglaman, how you doing today? Cool. So what I'll probably do is I'll maybe fade out a little bit. Up the background, but then fade out. Oh, I guess I'll just have to fade out everything. So That was fine. I'll try to give it some depth, like it's coming from behind. Okay, I don't mind that. I want it to be something that is happening behind everything else. Nice scores. Which kind of high scores? Are you talking about arcade high scores? Games that have high scores that can be shown? I mean, that would be pretty cool. We do have the high score. We do have the high scores in MAME. If you're talking about that, although it has its own window that you can bring up and see all that cool stuff. Ah, you only play MAME in your cabinet, so that makes a lot of sense to have that. But for like an all MAME arcade cabinet, I'd probably create a theme specifically for that purpose. That would be really cool. Okay. So I think we're done. I think we're done this one. Let's move on to the Nintendo. Look at all that cool stuff. Mr. Retrolust, how you doing? You just missed me finish the NES CoverBox. This SNES CoverBox recreation in Theme Creator. Now I gotta go on to the NES version, and I'm almost wondering if starting with all these elements might be beneficial. So let me copy all of this and just paste it over the NES, and then we'll at least have something to work with. Okay, so there's NES. Obviously doesn't look anything like the NES boxes. Let's remedy that. What was this? The star rating. Okay, so we're going to remedy that by first changing the background image to the one that I have inside of here. Okay, getting there. Now let's move everything around. Clear logo, can I do that? Yeah. What's cool is that this wheel really looks, I am pretty sure I just took the exact same wheel for this one and turned it into the Nintendo. So I don't really have to do very much. I do have to create a frame. And have it go inside, have the wheel go inside of it. But I want the frame. Oh, Rob, yeah. So I'm just saying, just theorizing. Like, if I had something like that, I'd want to build my own theme. And could you utilize the high scores and put them somewhere you want as a theme creator? That I don't know. I'd have to go and ask. But I know that they do show up in Big Box already. And Mr. Retros, congrats. How does it feel finishing all of your bezel packs? Your initial bezel pass of your giant pack? That must feel really awesome. Okay, frame, good. Put that inside. Still good. What are you gonna do now? Almost feels like, oh, you need a new hobby. But it sounds like you're just gonna jump right back in and take requests. I do want some padding here, so I'll put some padding on the top and the bottom. Does it have a size? This does have a size. It's better. Okay. Well, basically what I want to do is create a border around this stuff. Maybe two. Then make that have a corner radius of maybe 5. Oh no, it's going to be a lot bigger than that. 15. That's better. Okay, no, that looks good. I do see that I need this to be a little smaller. Okay, good. Okay. I think we can accomplish this by just making this a little smaller. There we go. And confirm that I'm using the same color. For the wheel. Oh, it's actually a bit different. It's a little bit different. So I'm going to need to create an NES UI. Oh, I forgot that I actually have to have something to paste it with. So let's... And we're going to paste this, which I think is just a little bit less saturated. Ooh, that did not work. Okay, so whenever you see that error, it means that I made a mistake here. And you see the mistake was just that I had one extra little hash there. It's a number sign. There we go. But I think we're okay. I mean, I can even do one better. Let me just make sure that it matches with this. Because that would make a lot more sense now that I have that capability. And it's a little more unified. Cool. Yeah, Rob. Yeah, shoot me a message. I'll definitely get to it. Okay, so far so good. We've gotten the frame. So the frame is actually not what I wanted it to be. Let's see what I have here. So I have it a different color. So let me do the foreground. That's better. Okay. Nice. And then let's make sure that I'm not really having this background there, because there's some stars behind it, potentially. And now that I do that, I don't see any stars. Maybe it's behind... Oh, I see what I did. It's not wide enough. So the original was much wider. Maybe like to there. You can see at the bottom here, it's not really matching up to the top. That's okay. And then the wheel would just basically have to take on the same properties. So the width property. There we go. Okay, so let's make sure that the video is in the right spot. So bring it out here. Should be a hole for the video. And we should be able to fill it pretty well exactly to the spot that I have. Give or take. We have the exact same star rating. Don't really need to change it. We'll position it here. And I had changed the color of the release date, but I didn't really do anything else to it. I might have made it bigger. In this case, I might have made it like 60 maybe. No, that's way too big. 55. And why I didn't just auto size this, I don't even know. Okay. What I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to match this up somehow to this. And then put it on this side of the video, approximately. This one I kind of want to move in a little bit. Okay, cool. All right, the fun part. So I don't actually need I'm trying to see how I did this. Kind of funny how I did this. So I don't actually need this part inside of the whole stack. And in fact, I believe this, I'll change that later. Oh, let's do it now. So instead of a dock, I'm actually using a stack, I believe. We'll move that stuff in there. Of course, I got the names wrong because I copied and pasted. This is the play mode, and this is just the words action. We're going to change the color to black. And I'll just copy and paste the foreground to this layer. So far, so good. The stack, I'm just going to make auto size. Oops. Did not mean to make this invisible, but this is an option for anybody wondering. You can make any element invisible, but it's only invisible within the editor and not actually in your theme. So if I lock the elements inside of this stack, it should allow me to move the stack. There you go. Okay, so I have it positioned somewhere there. I'm going to center all of this stuff. Oops. Got to unlock them now. Center the text inside. There we go. Okay, that's a better size. I have to just make sure so I don't need a margin, obviously. And let's just position this with our keyboard. Nice. Okay. One thing I'm going to have to do is make sure that this multiplayer doesn't go outside if this play mode metadata changes. So what was the key again to hold to position it in bigger steps? So that's shift. So if you hold shift, then you can move around with the I think it goes in steps of 10 pixels ish, something like that. Thank you for stopping around, Matthew. Hopefully you have a good rest of the day. And don't forget, Mr. Retroless, that you can hold Control, and that will change the size, either up or down or left and right. But it does it in 0.1 increments. So it takes a while, but it works. So I am going to have to create a view box for this. For this play mode here. So let me create one of those. 157.21. Okay, so I'm going to put that in the stack, and then I'm going to put the play mode inside of this blue view box. And it shouldn't do anything unless it reaches the 157.21 width. And we should see it change its size, but I kind of want it to change its size in the middle. So I'm just going to confirm that I got everything set to sort of vertically middle. Yeah, should be okay. All right, done on that side. Let's move on to a new element that we need to add, and that's a screenshot. I'm going to make sure that we're adding screenshot, like the first gameplay screenshot would be perfect. There it is. We'll center it up. And we'll position it down here. You can see here that this couple things. I noticed some screenshots have black borders around them. So to counteract that, I think I'm going to make it a little bigger than the actual space that I have. And then I'm going to just slightly stretch it to fit, because every screenshot has different proportions that are not necessarily correct. And then I'm going to place this underneath the background. There you go. Screenshots done. You got the clear logos done. I believe this whole side is done. Let's worry about the last few pieces here. The first one that I can see is going to be, I believe it's this area right here. So if I look at my original theme, I'm basically rotating these. However, I should really be skewing them. Skewing them will keep it looking upright, but slightly skewed upwards. And so I believe I did eventually correct that. But we are going to completely correct that. I'm going to take the same color as this, and I'm going to change the colors first. Also, we don't need this grid, but in order to get rid of it, I'm going to have to, yeah, only one thing can be in a view box, so they showed us an error there. There we go. And now we're going to move this whole block down here. Okay. The one thing that I can see is that the view box can get a little bigger here. I'm also thinking well, overall actually it's not too bad. But let's make this view box a bit bigger. 175 should make the text bigger. Okay. And of course, the height probably doesn't even need to be this much. Nice. All right, now for the skew. I'm pretty sure I can just skew this whole stack, which is right here. Let's see what we got to do. So what happens if I skew that way? No, I'm skewing the wrong one. Skew Y. There you go, that's one. And let's start with 15. Too much. Go down to 10. Wonder if I can set the point of origin, if that helps. And that will set the point of origin to here, and it should allow me to just skew this side, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I'm wrong. So that only relates to the animation. So was 10 okay? Let's find out. It's not. I'm pretty sure I need an 11. That looks a lot better. Okay. What do you think? That looks pretty good. It's like almost not right, but it's basically right. Maybe it's just my eyes. Can I do like a decimal place? Okay, so to me, that's better. Okay, so let's take a look at what happens if the sizes of all these text blocks changes. God, there's some of these are going to be really long, and it's going to look kind of funky, but in fact, I might want to do something. So you can see here, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, that's really tiny, just to have it fit. There's something that I was shown that might, if I can remember what it was. It might have been that I auto-sized this. Text wrapping, yes, I do need to turn that on, right? Now the question is how to make it tell within a view box to stop to get to a specific point and then start wrapping it. Some sort of combination of stuff here that I've got to do. You think it's the trim? I have an example of it actually somewhere. Now the trim is just the character dots if the thing gets too long. But there is a way within a view box to make it so oh god, no wonder it's not working. Started editing the wrong elements here. We gotta do that all over again and see if any of that actually helps. Maybe I can just fix this one somehow. was weird. Okay, so it was wrapping, and so of course it's gonna work if I do it. But let's just fix this one. So this one needs to be a bit wider. I can make it wider. Huh. There we go. Now let's reposition this stuff again. Make sure it can get as big as it needs to get. Okay, I'll come back to that in a bit. And now we're going to actually fix this one. So there is a way in a view box to basically say if it gets too long at a specific length, wrap. I should just be able to wrap this. Of course, what was I doing? Okay. I'll have to play with it later. There definitely is a way. And I'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. It is like a puzzle, and it's just I had it just in my head a second ago, and I've seen examples, but it's basically like a puzzle. Yeah. Like, how does this view box? How is the settings supposed to allow it? It's probably some combination of auto size and some number. Or no auto size. What happens there? Nothing. But I'll have it in the finished product, because that'll be pretty cool to implement. right? Because you definitely need to have it auto size there. And then you definitely need to have some sort of wrap. And then other than that, yeah, I'll figure it out. I might have to put it inside of another thing, like a grid or something. Anyway, let's take a look at what we got in general. We have finished the Super Nintendo theme, and we have finished, I had it for a second in some other area here. And let's take a look at what happens here. Not sure why that's not centered, but oh, I see. That's odd. Why is none of that centered? I don't have a width. I think I need a width here. Yeah, that would make more sense. Cool. So we've got the Nintendo ported over pretty nicely. And it's doing a lot better than it used to. In the theme on the forums. There's definitely some benefits here. Let me just fix the centered clear logo here. And of course, the clear logo should. Let's keep it centered. And then we did the Super Nintendo. So let's just make sure that the Super Nintendo one is doing what it should do. Of course, we gotta change to the Super Nintendo XAML file here. Looking good. Okay, so those are the two pretty, I guess they're the easier ones. Now that I have this framework, it should be pretty easy to get going. But for now, at least we got 2 done. And in total, that's those 2 plus all of those new ones that I created that I have not released yet. I mean, let's take a look at the Switch. I really like that. The Switch one that I did. Should be pretty fun to play around with. But for now, once I have everything every single week, I'll whenever we don't have any other themes to do, I can add to my CoverBox collection until we finally get it completed. And then I can finally say that I ported it over to the community theme creator and can give you guys all of this project file, and you can play around with it as best you can. This would look so good as a variation of the theme with cartoon folds and scratch textures overlapping it. Yeah. And everybody can go crazy with with all of these themes. This will basically be I think I'm up to what, 46, 47 different platform themes, all with some sort of individual graphics and XAML file view coding. So this will make it a lot easier for people to dive in and really take a look at what CoverBox is doing and make their own version of CoverBox, because that's always been something that people have wanted, and I can't wait to get to that point. But until then, hopefully everybody enjoy your weekend. It looks like it's going to be a good one since it's summer here anyway. And I hope we'll see you guys next week. We do have, I mean, other than Mr. Retrolust has finished his bezels, right? And LaunchBox is getting a pretty nifty update in the next couple weeks. We'll have a new beta next week that I do hope that you guys opt into and play around with, because it's going to have some features that I'm sure it's got 3 brand new features that I'm sure everybody would want to play around with. And for you guys that have stuck around this long in this video or around, one of the big, I'm really excited that Big Box is finally going to get multi-sounds per sound type. I've been playing around with that, and it's really cool to see that in Big Box. I can't wait to get you guys to try that out next week in the current beta. Until then, have a great weekend. We will see you guys next week in the next theme workshop. All right, take care, everyone.